the thoughts that even want to think about being separate, about separating from God, or even seemingly being separate from other people, need something to keep that thought system alive. And one of the ways in which that can happen is definition. Like when we first moved into the lighthouse, not only did it seem to be a change in form, going from the monastery to the lighthouse, from however many people, 10, 20 people to 3 people, it seemed like there were certain things in form that changed there, but also the quote-unquote rules, based on what the ego wants to call the rules, seem to change. It's like, what's my role here? I don't know what my role is. What's their role? I don't know what their role is. It's like, I'm used to being in these communities, pods, where there seems to be some definition of roles. Especially there seems to be a role called steward. And so to be in a space with no defined steward, it's like, oh my God, what do I do? It was like, I think on Facebook I used the analogy of being dropped into a new pinball game. It's like being a pinball and rolling along, and sometimes I'm just kind of like rolling, I'm going with the flow, and then all of a sudden I'll hit a bumper, like some attachment of the ego, and then all of a sudden I'll hit the flippers. I'll be going down and I'll hit the flippers, and it'll kick me back up into the bumpers. And just when I think I've gotten to know the layout of the machine, where the bumpers are, where the flippers are, and everything, then all of a sudden it's almost like the ball gets picked up into a new one. Oh my God, there's a flipper! I didn't know the flipper was there. What? Wait, a bumper? No! Ah! It's like, so yeah, it's just, it's funny to see how that goes on in the mind, and how there, it's like, so I was looking at that, it's like, well, what do I care? Like, what do I care if things have changed? What do I care if things aren't defined? And what I was seeing was, because I do believe I'm separate from God, because I do believe I'm guilty for doing that, there's this thought that somehow if I could do everything right in form, if this body could seem to do everything right, if it could follow the rules, then I could avoid being wrong, which is another way of saying I could avoid being guilty. And it's like, so when things seem to change and it's not defined, it's like an open door for the ego to say I'm guilty no matter what I choose to do or say. But it's also an open door for the spirit to say, be with me. Just be in the present moment. No need to think about what happened a second ago, a minute ago, a day ago. No need to think about what's going to happen for the next 2 hours. Anything like that. So it's like taking that idea of it really being undefined and applying it in all situations, in all moments, feels like it's just a way to kind of play the game that we're calling the experiment in innocence. Because at the foundation of the thoughts of separation are the thoughts of guilt. Well, I separated from God, so therefore I'm guilty. That's like the default mindset of the deceptive thoughts of the ego. So it's like, okay, I believe that, otherwise I wouldn't have any attachment of what I do or say, or what I think anyone thinks about what I'm doing or saying or anything. So I do believe I'm guilty, but what if that weren't true? What if I'm not? And so just being willing to be wrong about that, and being willing to be given an opportunity to act from a place that doesn't need to have things defined. It doesn't need to say what should or shouldn't happen, what's right or what's wrong, or anything like that. It's like, okay, let me play this game, let me play this experiment and see what happens. And the contrast in experience from thinking, oh, I better not sing along to the music because I'm going to be too loud, or I'm going to be out of key, or I'm going to be disturbing someone, to I'm feeling to sing, I'm going to sing, and having fun singing. It's like the experience is like night and day. It's the exact opposite. And so to just be able to have that experience in all moments, and to be able to share that, to come and just talk about it, and to say, you know, we're worthy of that. We really are. There's nothing we, and that's where like a phrase, you can't screw it up, I think comes in. It's like, we ultimately can't screw up our guiltlessness, our innocence. The deceptive thoughts of the ego want to say otherwise. It's not only are we guilty to begin with, but we better do everything possible to not make that guilt even worse. But it's like the Spirit saying, no, you're not guilty to begin with, and nothing you can say and nothing you think you can do in this world can change that. So it's like, okay, well, whether it seems like this body is alone, or whether it seems like it's in a room here of however many people, 10 people, it's like, why wouldn't I be willing to be open in every moment on what to do, instead of thinking, ooh, I better plan it out, I better figure out what I do so that I can't screw it up, so that I can't be guilty. And to just come and share that, and it's like, it really is all for me. It's like, I have fun doing it, but at the same time, it's like, I can also then be used by the Spirit as a communication device. If I can be willing to share that message, whether it be speaking through words, or writing blog entries, or posting on Facebook, or sharing clips, whatever the form seems to look like, if I can really be willing to step into that present moment and just be, and have fun with it, and play, and share that, it's like, in my mind, there's no other message that can really be shared. It's like, we're innocent, and let's just have fun with it.
It really is that, like we say there's no people pleasing and no private thoughts, but you know, what does that mean? Like, how do you really like get into that? And it's like, with this experiment of innocence and learning to be, it's really like trusting that innocence and dropping what we call like a spiritual identity. You know, like when you're spiritual, you act a certain way, and you're quiet, or you do this, or you do that, or you check in with people, or whatever it is. Underneath all that, there's people pleasing going on all the time, you know, and it's like, it's really hidden, you know, under that spiritual identity. And it's really letting go of, okay, trusting I'm innocent, going with the joy, and it's trusting in that no people pleasing. Like, what if Ben was singing and I really needed some quiet? Does that make him guilty? You know, if I say I need this or whatever it is, it's just an opportunity for me to even join. If I can give him the space just to be innocent and be how he is, and trust that I will have the same, it means I can sit out in the back room in the middle of the day, pick up the guitar and play the guitar, and trust if that's annoying someone, they're going to tell me, and then it's just a reason to join and really go into what do you do with that. It's so there's no set, you don't do this in this room, you don't do this in this room. It really is that total allowance and trusting there is no people pleasing going on. You are doing what feels good in the heart, you know, and from there everyone has the same allowance for that. And that's where the joy is, because it's like, you know, it's like with Ben singing and laughing, watching clips, you know, and there's no set, okay, you're in task time now, or you know, this is, it's like, with that innocence, everyone can enjoy the laughter, okay? You know, it's not like, well, you should be doing something else right now. It's just like a total allowance of everything.
Every moment.
Of every moment. And that's where the fun and the joy is, in listening and following in that.
And I feel like another aspect of that idea of undefined is, it's like really getting to the state of the I don't know mind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what anything is for. I don't know why it looks like this computer doesn't seem to be working, quote unquote. It's like, what if it's not about fixing a computer? What if it's not about getting anything done in form? What if it's always just a backdrop to say, I don't know what this is for?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a chance. It feels like a lot of times it's just a chance to join. First, to join here with the Spirit and become aligned and be willing to be used and shown what it's for, or maybe not even what it's for, just to be shown that I can be in the joy no matter what it seems I'm asked to do or say, but then to extend that, to extend it out. So it's like, I got an email the other day from my former boss asking me if I was looking for an opportunity to make money. And immediately the thought was, oh no, I'm good, you know, I'm not looking for a job right now. I was just going to respond back and say, thanks for thinking of me, but I'm not looking for a way to make money. But it's like, there are no accidents. There was no accident that that email came in the first place, or that it came in at that particular time on that particular day. So it's like, if there's no accidents and everything's perfectly orchestrated, then why did this email come in? I don't know. I don't know what this email is for. You know, maybe it is just a chance for me to communicate and be, you know, really in tune with the Spirit and say, I'm really following my path right now. But maybe it's also a chance to join with these two, which is what I did. It's like, instead of just going right away with the first thought, it was like, okay, let me just say, I don't know why this email came in. I don't really even know what it's for. So let me just talk about it. And maybe it's a chance for us just to come together. Maybe it's just a backdrop, just a reason for the three of us to be together. It's like I've heard Lisa say, and I think I've heard you say before, something along the lines of like, the messengers, if there wasn't the shared purpose of awakening, then they probably wouldn't be together, quote unquote, in the world. And so the purpose of awakening, or looking at these thoughts and remembering the true identity, is just a backdrop for coming together and joining. And that's the same thing. This email comes in, it's just a backdrop. I don't know what it's for. Even these clips, it was like, we talked about the possibility of sharing clips at Strawberry. And again, Strawberry 2013 is undefined. We don't know how that's going to look. We don't even know if there are going to be clips. But it's like there's infinite possibilities of what could happen in any given moment. And the thought came in, maybe one of the things that could happen at Strawberry is to share clips. It felt really good just to talk about it. You know, just to talk about the possibility and not to get attached to it. Not to say, oh, okay, I love clips, yes, let's do clips. And like running to the idea of showing clips, because then if that possibility doesn't seem to come to fruition, if it doesn't seem to happen in form, then it's just like the game of the ego has been played. It's like it's setting up a trap by thinking that I need this to happen to be happy. I need to be able to show clips to be happy, so that if it doesn't happen, then all of a sudden I'm justified in being unhappy. And it's like, so I thought when we were talking about it, you know, it seemed like the thought was to take movies and to take clips of movies, like, you know, the Messengers and David do a lot, you know, we show a lot of clips from different movies. I mean, you could take pretty much any movie and find a clip in it. But then, like, I kept feeling like I was spending a lot of time on Facebook, and I kept seeing all these clips getting posted to Facebook, and I kept feeling to download them. And that brought up guilt. It's like, oh, well, we only have limited amount of bandwidth for our internet at the lighthouse. And if I start downloading these clips, I'm going to be interfering with these two. And I shouldn't do it, or I should wait until night when they're both asleep to do it. Like, there's all these rules, these defined ideas of how something should happen or when it should happen, otherwise I'm guilty. And I was looking at that and I was like, well, is that really true? Like why would I limit myself? Like, why would I put a limit on the Spirit? Why not just follow that? And if it did seem that it wasn't best for the whole, if it did seem that it would have been best to wait till another time, then that's just a chance to communicate. So I chose to have an experiment in innocence. I chose to say, okay, I'm feeling the download. Let me download. Let me not believe that this determines whether or not I'm guilty, and just go with it. And I'll tell you what, you know, I'm getting so many great clips. It's just like, I'm sitting in my room, I'm just laughing and laughing. I'm like, ooh, thanks, Spirit. I really enjoyed that one. You know, it's just like, it's beautiful to just really let go of the definition.